Off the top of your head, you can probably name about 5 superheroes with night vision as their superpower. What you don't know is that some of them may have been based on a Chinese boy called Nong Yousui. Nong Yousui first came into the spotlight in 2009 when a newsreel from China basically told the world that he could see in the dark. The reporters who met the young boy said he had sky blue eyes that flashed neon green when illuminated by a flashlight. They claimed that his vision was so remarkable that he could fill out a questionnaire while sitting in the dark. Night vision is pretty common with nocturnal animals like Siamese cats, but for humans it was, and still is, uncharted territory. This is probably why scientists were pretty skeptical about the whole "he can see in the dark" thing. The people of science asked many questions that the reporters couldn't answer, and in the end, a conclusion was reached. Nong Yousui really did have an unusual eye color for his ethnicity, but scientists would not be making any night vision goggles by studying his genes. Number 6. Natasha Demkina. According to available accounts, Natasha Demkina is a medical marvel, kind of like a human x-ray machine, if you're into that kind of stuff. Natasha was born in 1987, and for the first 10 years of her life, her superpowers did not manifest. For the most part, Natasha was a pretty normal kid. She possessed fast learning abilities, but that was about it. And then one day, while sitting at home with her mother, she suddenly realized she could see the older woman's insides. By insides, I mean organs and tissues, not the sandwich she had for lunch. Like anyone would do if they suddenly developed literal X-ray vision, Natasha did not freak out. She instead began to describe her mother's internal organs to her. Natasha's mother quickly became a fan of her daughter's newfound abilities, and in no time, the news had spread. One day, people were gathered outside her family's home in Russia asking for free consultations, and the next, Natasha was being flown out to places like England and New York City to give demonstrations. Once her abilities were put under the microscope, people began to notice that Natasha's superpowers were quite questionable. While she was able to identify some conditions, there was a time when she diagnosed a perfectly healthy man with kidney stones, an enlarged liver and pancreas, and an ailment of the gallbladder. Another time, she claimed that surgical scars had a way of blocking her X-ray. Every hero has their kryptonite, right? To this day, Natasha continues to diagnose conditions with her powers. Number 5. Ramses Sanguino. Professor Xavier from the X-Men and his telepathic abilities may not be real, but you know who is? Ramses Sanguino. And that is apparently as close as it gets. Ramses first started to gain popularity in the mid-2010s when his mother, Nyx Sanguino, began to upload videos of him to YouTube. In her videos, Nyx showed Ramses saying his first words at 4 months old, speaking Japanese at 13 months of age, and speaking Russian at age 2. By the time he was 5, Ramses was being recorded solving algebra puzzles. But that's not what caught the attention of neuroscientists and bored internet users. People really began to pay attention to Ramses when his mother revealed that he possessed telepathic abilities and could read her mind. She did so by posting a video of him reciting a string of numbers she had written out in secret. Nyx's claims reached the ears of Dr. Diane Powell, a neuroscientist and former faculty member at Harvard Medical School, and she decided to put Ramses' abilities to the test. Powell used a number generator to pick numbers for Miss Sanguino to think about, before asking Ramses to recite the selected numbers by reading his mother's mind. By the end of the experiment, Ramses got 3 numbers out of 5 correctly, and Dr. Powell declared that the results were inconclusive. Despite the fact that no doctor has been able to corroborate Nyx's claim that her son is telepathic, she continues to upload content to her YouTube channel, suggesting that he is, and is even in the process of teaching his cousin how to be telepathic too. Number 4. Ivan Stoiljkovic. As it turns out, Professor Xavier is not the only character from the X-Men to have made it into the real world. Magneto seems to have also made an appearance in the form of a Croatian boy named Ivan Stoiljkovic. In 2011, reports began to circulate that a certain 6-year-old boy in Croatia had magnetic abilities. His parents told everyone who cared to listen that his body was magnetic and that he could attract and carry about 50 pounds of metal. As the news continued to spread far and wide, videos of Ivan doing his thing began to pop up on TV, and that's when the critics stepped in to rain on his parade. The first questionable thing they pointed out was that in the videos circulating, Ivan's body is covered in objects he has attracted, ranging from silverware and cell phones to frying pans and remote controls. Now, here's the kicker. Remote controls aren't made of metal. Critics also pointed out that Ivan appears to be leaning back in all the videos of pictures of him. They basically said, "Hey Ivan, if you're really magnetic, you wouldn't mind bending forward, would you?" And that was all it took to quell the rumors of Ivan being a real-life version of Magneto. Who knows, maybe he'll make a comeback. Number 3. Jinlong. It's impossible to compile a list of people with superpowers without including super strength, and that's where Yang Jinlong comes in. Yang Jinlong from Chuzhou, China, first appeared in the spotlight in the early 2010s. At first glance, he looked just like every other cute chubby child with a bright smile, but Jinlong was so much more. At the tender age of 7, he already weighed 50 kilograms, but that's not what left people with their mouths hanging open. You see, Jinlong possessed what can only be described as super strength. He was able to effortlessly give his father, who weighed around 90 kilos, a piggyback ride. For context, Jinlong's father was nearly twice his height. The young boy could also carry heavy bags of wheat and cement, weighing up to 100 kilos. When people learned of Yang Jinlong's abilities, they began to follow him around, eager to see what he would lift next, and sometimes he would put on a show for them. On one occasion, he tied a rope around his waist and proceeded to pull a 1.85-ton van. Number 2. Gabby Gingras. Gabby Gingras was born with an extremely rare condition that prevents pain sensations from reaching her brain. While this sounds like rainbows and sunshine, it's actually a lot darker and very dangerous. Gabby's family first began to notice that something was wrong when she was just a newborn. A nurse pricked her to draw blood and everyone braced themselves for the outburst of tears. But it never came. In fact, she slept peacefully through the whole thing. The incident with the needle marked the beginning of a series of events that made Gabby's inability to feel pain abundantly clear. At age 3, she slipped and fell in the garage, hit her head on the kitchen floor, and bumped her forehead against a bathroom door frame, but still didn't feel anything. You're probably thinking this is the part where she got fitted for a superhero uniform and started fighting bad guys. But it's not, because while she can't feel pain, she's not invincible. Gabby can still get badly hurt, and since she doesn't feel pain, she can also do untold damage to herself unknowingly. One time she ended up in the hospital because she had chewed on her tongue so much that it got badly swollen, to the point that she became unable to eat or drink. Other times she scratched her eyes and bit her fingers until she inflicted terrible injuries. Gabby's all grown up now, and so she knows better, but she has done some permanent damage to her system and is now blind in her left eye. Number 1. Boriska Kipriyannovich. Boriska Kipriyannovich is by far one of the most interesting people on this, and it's not because he claims to remember his past life. As a child, Boriska displayed remarkable abilities. For example, his mother claims he could hold his head unsupported when he was a baby. She also claims that he started talking quite early and could read and write by the time he was a year and 6 months old. Since the day he started speaking when he was only a few months old, Boriska has said some pretty interesting stuff. He claims that before being on Earth, he lived on Mars. He also revealed that during his time as a Martian, he was a pilot. Pretty cool job. So why did Boriska leave his cool job back on Mars to be reincarnated as an Earthling? Well, it definitely wasn't because he wanted to experience global warming. According to Boriska, his entire planet was wiped out by a nuclear conflict, and his purpose on Earth is to prevent humans from meeting the same fate. So he's just a really nice guy. As far-fetched as Boriska's claims may be, the reason some people are willing to give him a listening ear was because of his intelligence. He displayed an impressive amount of smarts and was very knowledgeable about the planetary system, even though his parents claimed that they didn't exactly teach him anything about it. So maybe he was telling the truth? Throughout his time in the spotlight, Boriska did not shy away from talking about Mars and everything he knew about civilization. He may have also told scientists that Martians stop aging at age 35, and that the Great Pyramid of Giza holds a really big secret we are yet to uncover. Whether or not Boriska was telling the truth, we will never know, because it appears that the former Martian and his mother have now vanished off the face of the Earth, and all attempts to find them have proved futile. That's it for this video. See you in the next one.